This is a disgrace. Trans toddlers will still be allowed gender treatment on the NHS. Under 7-year-old kids will be seen by clinics after the health service caved in to activists who objected to age limits. So now the NHS is going to listen to kids who are, say, I don't know, 6 years old, 5 years old. I'm born in the wrong body. I'm transgender. You know, I mean, this is just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I mean, we spent 10 years or so mutilating children at the Tavistock Clinic for dysphoric kids. Some kids, you know, I'll accept, you know, they do feel dysphoric about their gender. Most of them, but if they're 6 years old, 4 years old, this is ridiculous. Well, I'm furious about it. What about you, Renee?
I wish I could say that I was surprised, but I'm not, because it was very evident to anybody who works within the NHS that the NHS is so captured by these people, Kevin, that when they closed the Tavistock and said that they would open regional clinics, that it would almost be like cutting the head off the Hydra and just growing some new heads. And that's exactly what is happening here, because sensible doctors who know that there is no such thing as a child being born in the wrong body, a trans kid is a made-up word, they wouldn't work in one of those clinics if their life depended on it, because they wouldn't be associated with that kind of medical travesty. So the only doctors that are working in these clinics are those die-hard ideologues who are completely committed to the cause of transing kids. You know, it's infuriating, and we know that at the top of the adult service, which is still under review, the head of that is so on side with the trans ideologues that the same thing is going to happen there. So as soon as they go from 18 into the adult service, they're also going to face the same kind of stuff.
Listen to this, though, right? I mean, you know, to hell with the NHS, to hell with all these woke idiots, these woke warriors who are turning the NHS into a national scandal, a joke, a woke-infested joke, a medically moronic joke. I mean, you know, this is ridiculous. This is not medical. So the previous age, the health service was going to introduce a minimum age for children to be seen by its specialist gender clinics. This is kids who go, I'm in the wrong body, you know, I should be a boy, I'm not a girl. So the minimum age that they were going to introduce for this was 7. Wow. So if you're 8, they were going to see 8-year-olds and all that, and 9-year-olds. I would say that's bizarre. That's ridiculous. Don't listen to a 7-year-old who says he or she's in the wrong body. Give them a bag of sweets and tell them to go and play on the swings or something. So this was 7. But because of activists, because of the trans lobby, the all-powerful trans lobby, you know, those 150,000 or so people in a population of 80 million or 79 million, ridiculous. So they've caved in. So there won't be a minimum age of 7 to listen to gender dysphoric kids. It will now be any age, so it could be 2 years old.
And you can see what's going to happen is that a mother, and we'll come back to the mother in a minute, brings her kid to a GP and says, oh, little Johnny's actually really a girl. The GP inside dies with fright and fear of actually saying to the mum, now listen, don't be silly. Little Johnny doesn't even know what he is unless you've told him that. So what they will do is they will instantly kick that ball over to one of these clinics, and hence the referrals will come. The facts are this, Kevin, that a child does not know what it is. It's our job to tell them what they are. You're a girl, darling. One day you'll get married, have babies. You know, you're a boy. You know, you can actually find a girlfriend, you can get a woman pregnant, but you can never have a baby. That's our job. So if we've got kids going forward who are 2 and 3 and 4, the people who need the medical help here are the parents who are doing it, but also schools. Schools are so captured that these little kiddies are being told in nursery school that boys can be girls. You are whatever you feel you want to be. We have to get this out of our education system, our NHS, our police force, all of it.
Absolutely. Now, I mean, this is small numbers, but the fact that there are any numbers here at all is an absolute disgrace. There are 10 children of nursery age currently being treated, while as many as 157 aged 9 or younger have been referred to clinics. So what we're talking about there, these 10 kids are under the age of 7. They are being treated by the NHS for gender dysphoria because they think they've been born in the wrong body. We're talking about 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds. I mean, this NHS has gone clinically insane.
Yeah, but you know what's coming? And I listened to a podcast on the way here about this. In America, they're coming thick and fast. What's coming for the NHS are the lawsuits. So that when these kids are completely screwed up by the NHS, who give them harmful drugs, who might take away their fertility, who might chop off their breasts at some point, the lawsuits will come. We pay to destroy children, and then we're going to pay to fix them. Yeah. And then we're going to pay to compensate them.
Yeah. I was just laughing while you were quite rightly venting your fury, because I was just thinking, when I was a kid, if I'd have said to my dad when I was 7, Dad, I think I've been born in the wrong body,
yeah.
He'd have used one of those old-fashioned forms of punishment that are not fashionable. He'd have clipped me round there and said, get the hell out of here. And I'm not promoting that as a system, but I do think, the NHS previously said that children under 7 years old were, quote, just too young to be considered to have gender dysphoria. You don't say. Really? So if they're under 7, you don't take their gender dysphoria worries that serious? Oh, wow. Well, that's a step forward. Well, now they do. They will listen to 4-year-olds.
This is different. This is no different to the 4-year-old who comes in and tells you that he's a dog. You go, oh, that's nice, dear. Here's your dinner. What you don't do is say, you're right. Get on all fours. Here's a lead. Let me take you for a walk. Yeah. That's what you don't do. These parents need to be looked at.
And teachers, as you quite rightly say. I mean, there's all these... Who was it telling me? It was a friend. Somebody telling me the other day that their kid's in a class where one of the kids identifies as a cat, so the teacher puts a litter tray at the back of the class.
It's furries. They're called furries.
Yeah.
This is a big thing in Australia.
Yeah, but the kid's about, like, 10 or something.
Yeah. So
but the teacher shouldn't be... The teacher should say, well, you're not a cat. You're not getting a litter tray.
Yeah.
What? I mean, what about the other kids seeing this? I mean, these teachers, these doctors, these NHS adults, what's going on in their mind? They're insane.
Insane. Absolutely insane. And we've got the British Medical Association, resident doctors as they like to call themselves now, actually challenging, they're doing their own review into the CAS review.
Yeah. The NHS seems to be justifying this shift, the fact that they've abandoned this drastic 7-year age limit. They're saying, oh, well, the number could be fewer than 10.
Who cares?
So the point is that right now, it might be 9, might be 8, it doesn't really matter. The fact that the NHS is treating kids who are under the age of 7, they could be 4, they could be 3, for gender dysphoria.
Do you know what?
Because they think they were born in the fact the NHS is treating those kids makes me say, to hell with you, you ridiculous National Health Service. To hell with you.
You know who's done this, though, in a big part as well? Are the psychiatrists. The psychiatrists have so much to answer for on autism, ADHD, trans kids, because they sit at the back of the room and they allow the book that dictates what is and what isn't a mental disorder to be massaged by activists like this, until in the end all of these things get put into categories where just about everyone can claim rights from having said illness.
What is Wes Streeting doing about all of this? He is the health secretary who said he was going to reform this mess of a health service we've got.
Wes Streeting is connected to Stonewall. He in the past he worked for Stonewall. He has allegiances with Stonewall. Don't believe any of it. It's in his blood. Just as Keir Starmer wants to be part of Europe, Wes Streeting is part of that ideology.
Damn straight. Wes Streeting probably wants to be part of Europe as well. I mean, he's not going to fix the NHS. He's already shown to me he's got no hope of doing it. I don't think his heart is in the right place.
I think
he's part of the woke virus that has made the NHS very sick indeed, isn't he?
All of this money. So this is money. We're spending money to set up these clinics to damage children. Then we're going to medicalise them. That costs money. This is our money that's being spent to do harm. The first time ever that the NHS has thrown safeguarding out of the room and decided that it's okay to harm children.
You know, and don't forget, so you and I both live quite near, don't we, the Tavistock Clinic, where they used to treat gender dysphoric kids, and you know, we all know these stories. Literally, parents turning out there with 4-year-old kids, and these people, as I would say, grown, sentient doctors, adults, nurses at the Tavistock Clinic.
Psychologists.
Yeah, psychologists. Yes, you are in the wrong body. Yes, we'll start treating you. And then when they get towards puberty, they give them puberty blockers. Then sometimes surgery. These people are supposed to be the guardians of these kids' welfare, allowing them to be mutilated. Once you start taking puberty blockers, you're never the same again.
Well, you're on the train. You're going to convert anyway.
Yeah, they've ruined the lives of many a kid. This was under the auspices of the NHS. About a year ago, they finally saw sense and said, we're going to close this clinic down, no more puberty blockers. But the madness continues, doesn't it?
But we'll open another 7.
Yeah.
I mean, fine. OK. And we won't do puberty blockers. Oh, we will if it's a trial, which means they're going to do puberty blockers.
Oh, God. Oh, dear.
Trials on children, never before seen. We'll use this drug that we know does harm in a trial on children. Medical ethics gone crazy.
And what about, as you said, what about these doctors the other day, was it a couple of weeks ago? I think we might have discussed it last week. The ones that, the junior doctors, so-called junior doctors, who said that there was no scientific basis in the Supreme Court's biological sex ruling. And their biological ruling was, if you're born a woman, you know, a female, that means you're a woman. If you're born with female genitalia, female attributes, you're a woman. Wow. It took them 5 years to reach that conclusion. At least they reached the right conclusion. Then, medically qualified doctors said there was no
intellectually
illiterate and had no basis in science. So that's just not true, is it?
So that comes back to education as well, doesn't it? Because it must mean that they feel quite comfortable in their medical training to make statements like that. It is insane. I would not want these doctors treating me. I wouldn't want them near my child.
Yeah,
I'm embarrassed by them.
I am too. I think they are a national embarrassment. I think the NHS, with this nonsense, it's wokery. The fact, Renee, that right now, you work there, the NHS is in revolt. It's doing everything it can to undermine the Supreme Court's ruling about biological sex. Everything it can. When did the NHS turn into this hotbed of political insanity? Well,
and the thing is, Kevin, we've got the same thing, haven't we? We've got doctors threatening Jewish patients, sticking Palestine stickers on their bed and in their room. There was a story a few weeks ago. Patients feeling under threat as they're being treated if they're Jewish. So it seems that the NHS has become a campaigning activist organisation rather than the place where you go to get better.
Yeah, how about that? Yeah, treat a few patients, that kind of thing. It really is a disgrace. And just before we go to break, I had this wonderful woman, actually, Jennifer Melley, on my show a couple of weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago now. And she's a woman who works at St Helier Hospital, a huge hospital in South London. I think it's the biggest, certainly in South England. Huge place. I know this because I used to be on my patch when I was on a local paper, Sutton Herald, chief reporter. Pretty impressive. Got sacked,
and
actually.
Look at you now.
I was the chief. I did get sacked, but apart from that, for a while I was the chief reporter. Anyway, she's a woman that, when a jailed paedophile turned up.
She's been suspended.
Yeah, but it gets what I'm going to put to you is something you may have noticed, this element of the story, but she told it to me, and it's sitting exactly where you were, and my jaw dropped. Basically, the story, many of you may recall it, that this jailed paedophile was brought from prison to St Helier for, shall we say, a very male operation, something to do with his manhood, if you know what I mean. But of course, this paedophile now identifies as a woman. So Jennifer has got very strong religious beliefs. So she said, I'm sorry. He said, you've got to use my pronoun he and she. She said, I can't. She said, I can't do it. And she said there's two reasons. One, it goes against her religious faith. And secondly, you know, she's medically qualified. She's a nurse. She said it just seemed to me to be absolutely ridiculous to basically start calling it he, she, to this bloke, she and her and all that, when frankly he was having an operation, you know, down there. You know, she said it was just ridiculous. So she said, look, let's reach a compromise here. What's your name? Henry or whatever it was. I'll call you that. How's that? At which point he lunged at her and called her the N-word 3 times. No inquiry. They've just agreed to investigate that racism after a year. And the Nursing Council, about 3 months ago, said to her, because you misgendered this jailed paedophile who identifies as a woman, we consider you could be a risk to the public.
Yeah.
It's extraordinary.
It's extraordinary.
Well, you know, come on.
You know what, it's forcing people to buy into somebody else's lie. And we're doing this to children as well, so don't forget, it goes all the way from the bottom. It would be like me insisting to you that I am Afro-Caribbean. And when you refer to me, my race, I want you to do that.
Yeah.
You look at me and say, but you're not, Renee.
Yeah.
You're white. And I say, no, don't offend me. You know, it's craziness.
Yeah, yeah.
You'd think I'd lost the plot. You would be right.
Yeah.
But with this particular subject, we're supposed to buy into it.
Yeah. A dedicated nurse of 12 years.
12 years, never a complaint.
Never a complaint. And whose side does the NHS come down on? The paedophile, the jailed paedophile scumbag, racist scumbag. They come down on his side. Honestly, that NHS you work for, you know, West Street's root and branch reform. I think it just needs to be ripped up and started again. It really does.
The taproot needs hacking off.
Oh, honestly, you know, the way it's venerated, another sickness of this country, venerate it. Oh, what a mess.
Meanwhile, elderly people live in shocking conditions in care homes because we can't fund them. They can't get their cataract operations. And when they fall over and break their hips, they don't get their surgery until they've died normally.
What a mess.